Hi, I'm Jeremy Glasgow. Some call me the Mobile App Ninja. I'm over here at App Fueled. We're going to do our training today for our App Fueled clients. One of the main questions we get asked is, how do we use automation without annoying our customers? So I put together seven ways we've learned that this should be done, and our platform can accommodate these 7 ways. So I'll definitely blitz through these, but really this is to pick up on the momentum of what we covered in last month's webinar. We were talking about how to retrieve lost customers. And in doing that, when we don't have the time and we're, let's say, overstaffed, or we can't get to some of the follow-up things we might like to do, maybe write a handwritten note, maybe make a personal phone call, we were suggesting that one of those ways to retrieve a lost customer is to use some automation. However, automation, when we don't apply some of these 7 ways, can lead to an annoyance. And there's a few surveys out there right now that, yes, although customers want text messaging, I think it's up to like 83% of customers now expect and want text communication with a small business. That doesn't mean that we also can't annoy them. For example, 90% of follow-up text messages that were not preempted are considered annoying in one of the surveys we read last week. So this is kind of why we took on this emphasis. I was actually going to do a different topic today, but this just stood out that automation is, we're always talking about it. It is great, but it also can lead to annoyance. So we're hoping that to cover these 7 ways, they're ways that anybody can do. It's quick, and our 2-way portal lets you get them done fast. So that's really why these work. So these 7 ways, it's flexible, and I'm going to walk through what we mean by that. They're easy to change so that the things that we're doing make sure that you're like up to speed by the minute to what the customer might be expecting or what they've asked to be done. And in addition to that, this is where we think having your text, email, and push notifications, we call that omni-channel, having that work together is a beautiful thing, right? If say you have 3 ways of sending out that type of communication, then when a customer replies, say unsubscribe or something there, did they get unsubscribed from both things? So we think it's important that omni-channel management is considered. So even if you are using other follow-up techniques that are automated, make sure that these 7 ways you're applying into those platforms as well. And then this is where I get a little bit excited to think that if you think about your own experience as perhaps an Amazon shopper, or maybe a Target shopper or a Costco shopper, part of those experiences now are so digital and they're so personal. So Amazon has taught us that, it's quick to get something ordered, but in addition to that, we do everything on our own, right? You manage your own profile, you adjust how you want that app to communicate with you. You'll even go in there and say something like, thanks to iOS as well, right? The Apple platform, you can even say, I don't even want these messages to be time sensitive. So this personalized component of doing automation is really why we believe that having the omni-channel and personalized together is really the future of CRM automation. So let's hop into them without taking too much time on kind of the context of why we hit this topic today. Let's hit number 1. We believe that anything done well later should be communicated up front. And that can go with so many areas of our businesses, but if the expectations are set, then what happens later doesn't necessarily come as an annoyance. So one of the great things, and this is also a legality issue, but it's more than that. I mean, laws are one thing, but reaching the heart of the customer is another. And in this case, we talk about having a text compliance flyer. This is something that's seen within the eyeballs of your customer when they give you their phone number. And I think it takes a little bit more than this. Most people ignore things of that nature. That's really for your legal protection. Maybe it's just there to help your staff remember to point to it and say, just a heads up, as we take your number, we will be sending you a text. Don't worry, it's an intro compliance text. And you can easily reply stop and you're out. But just giving them that heads up of what to expect can be the first step in making sure your customers are not annoyed with automation. The second one, and this is where I'm going to pull up our platform just for the reference point so you're aware. And what happens, we've found, is that a customer doesn't always do what we want, right? They don't always enter into your ecosystem. They don't always download your app. They're not always in there managing their own profile. But they may be letting you know those things. So as an example of that, I pulled up 3 example messages that we can walk through. We're going to hit this first one here for customer. So when we say change status for customer, you've got, here's a customer, let's call it Ninja Skills. They text us today that I've moved away out of state. So are they going to be a future customer? Probably not. But would you like to salvage your good name that okay, that's kind of a clue, right? We should not be texting and emailing this customer again. They're not a relevant customer. So what you can do here, and this is easy to slide over, is this is a button. You can go view the profile. So this is why we said it's easy and flexible. And we give you guys a status option, and this has an override over all of our CRM automation. So if they say they moved, you simply mark moved, and you're done. That's it. Now you can go the extra mile, and let's go back. You might come in here and say, you might reply to that customer. Say, thanks for letting us know. Enjoy your move, right? Just dream up what you might do there. But either way, that is how easy it is to change a customer status. Now let's hit the other example here, which was I've sold this car. So some of our workflows are specific to, thanks Captain America for sending this to us. Some of the messages are related to a specific vehicle. Maybe it's not that they want text messages gone. They just, hey, heads up, you sent me something about a car. Maybe it was a reminder. Maybe it was, hey, how did we do on the last visit? Either way, the same process. You click here, view the profile. You go ahead and find their vehicles. Usually that comes over, and if the last message was sent with an accurate, you would know, or maybe it was their wow, we're looking at an old car here, Dodge Dynasty. You can click on that. Again, this is a button. You can view it on file. And again, it's easy. You just change it. They've sold. And this will mark the CRM automation workflow set up for specific to vehicles would not work for this vehicle. So it's a great way to not annoy. Imagine if you sent that reply as a customer, and then maybe 4 months later, hey, your Dodge is due for an oil change, and you're thinking in your head, well, I let these guys know. I sold it. So it's just little things like that. 3, now let's talk about editing the channels. So what can often happen, and this is where I think real CRM power can happen, is we get into conversations as well. Maybe you're talking with a customer and they say, I don't mind the appointment reminder that you guys are texting me, but I really don't want the other things by text, guys. Come on, right? Let's say it's that type of tone, or maybe it was communicated in a text that way. Either way, when you're these across the top, you've got these options here when you're viewing. So I could have got here in a couple ways. I could have come to customers, clicked on a profile that way, right? You can see I'm in the bottom menu. I'm right on the profile. If you scroll down, this is what we mean by communication preferences. Inside marketing settings, so you just kind of scroll down and click here, you can navigate that individually by category. So whatever they stated, just accommodate what they said and click update. They didn't mind your appointment reminders. Maybe they even said, even the service alerts are fine, but the promotions and stuff and the specials, can you guys knock it off? Update. And that's done. And that can be the same said for email. 4. Here, this is a way we think you can definitely help not annoy your customer, because this is specifically the customer that subscribed. They did join your ecosystem. They did sign in on your app or in your web portal. They created their own profile, maybe uploaded their own image, verified their own email and cell. Now here's where it gets a little bit tricky. We do have some what we call deduplication processes here, where if this email and this cell also came to us from your shop management system, we're not going to be sending it to both. We choose a priority. And interestingly enough, the subscriber, what they did by themselves, right? They verified it, they signed in, they created a password, that takes the override. Now again, kind of interesting here, if the customer you had them also in as a customer in your shop management system, we don't necessarily want those to be two separate entities. They always will be in terms of data, but it shouldn't have to feel that way for your customer. And we prompt them. Most customers, about 30% of the signups in your app will take the step to connect on their own. This isn't something you have to do every time. But for some customers, they just either can't verify the cell number correct, they can't find a matching last name or phone number, and they can't do it. But this helps eliminate sort of that duplication of records feel, where when the customer's in there on your app, they're going to see their vehicles, their appointments, and they can do that on their own, or you can do it for them. So you might say, oh, Ninja Skills, but AKA Debbie Smith. So I'm going to, in this case, just kind of show you how that works. So I'm going to disconnect it manually. So when you first view a subscriber, you don't see that they're connected to a customer record on file. Again, 30 to 40% will do this on their own. It's easy for you guys to do it as well. You just, in this case, we're going to search by this one, see if anybody comes up, but we're just going to go with Debbie Smith again. It seems to be a reasonable connection. And you can see last visit date, kind of scroll through this. These are customers out of your customer database. There we go. Yes, I'm sure. And of course, on your end, when you make that, you don't have to verify with a number. Your customer does, by the way. They don't just get to choose a customer and be connected. So there's a security verification process for them. Okay, number 5, here's a great way to not annoy a customer, right? Turn off marketing. So for whatever reason, and you might even have been told this when you first got the number, said, hey, I don't mind giving you my number, but don't market to me. So that's an interesting comment. I think we should respect it. The best way to do that is to hit, I mean, and again, you could hit that question a lot of ways and clarify, well, what type of communication would you accept from us, right? What about an appointment reminder? Is that okay? So you can kind of play that out. I mean, you don't have to take it at extremely face value, but however you guys respond to that type of question, the tool here gives you an option to do that. So, of course, they wouldn't be saying that if they were connected. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect Debbie Smith again. And all you do is you just pull up a customer record. There we go. And what we say here is you just toggle. You simply toggle it off. So you can click here on Debbie Smith, and you have one simple toggle, which is the master override for this. So if I were to say, yes, I'm sure, even if a customer signed up as Debbie and they wanted to connect to their Debbie Smith account, they couldn't, because even on that side of it, they can't connect inside your app to their customer account. No marketing permissions even means that. So no automation, no connection. And so, of course, some customers might come back on that later, find out that you had this great app experience, and they go, hey, I want to reconnect. Easy. Just flip it back on and connect them, and you're off to the races there. Okay, cancel, unsubscribe. So a little bit different, but same concept. The customer, you turn off marketing permissions, and then if someone just didn't want to click the unsubscribe button from every single email, or didn't want to click unsubscribe from your app, and they have that option. So here, I've got a window here where I'm signed into a vehicle owner app as Ninja Skills. I have an option here to cancel the account myself. I have an option to opt out of your text club myself. But if it's said verbally to you, or you just want to take care of it on the fly in some way, you would just find the subscriber. I'm going to type in skills here. There they are. And you have that override as well. You can unsubscribe them as well. And when you do that, they'll get a confirmation email that they've been unsubscribed. Nothing, you don't have to send that. That just happens automatically. And we're about to get to I've got a bonus tip too. I know I said 7, but as we were working through this, there's even something a little bit more exciting. But hey, before we get to that, here's number 7. Do respond to replies. This, to me, could be the greatest thing we do, and it's not necessarily automated, in that customers are going to say things, and some of those don't trigger the right events, right? If someone replies they could reply with the keyword stop, and that would automatically take them out of your text club. But a lot of customers don't write it that way. They might even misspell the word stop. So when the customer replies back with whatever it is, we advise do respond. And if it's within business hours, 1 to 2 hours is recommended. Keep the app fueled two-way portal open. It's essentially your inbox of the day of those form items, text messages, chats if you've got it on your site. Really just being there to respond and confirm what that is they're asking. Now, I'm making an extra note here, and I'll show you what we mean. Important. Make an internal note if you're a team player. And now here's for those of you that when these come in, let's say Captain America, I've sold this car. Remember, we went in there and made the change to the status. So far, we haven't replied to the customer. And here's another thing. What if you had another CSR, customer service rep or a service advisor that would also be checking the same team texting thread? How would they know without them going and taking the time and checking if that was done? So I believe there's two things to do here. Something like, okay, right, we've updated our records. Thanks for letting us know. Right, so this is you letting the customer know that, yeah, thank you, appreciate that. And then in addition, if you're, now, you might say, well, can't the team member just see that we replied? They can, but it doesn't necessarily still say that you did that, right? Might still be the kind of person like, wait, did Jeremy really do what he said, right? And kind of go want to look. So if you want to be the team player, one of my favorite tools in here is make that internal note for your team, and you can tag them when you do it. So you might make a note in here, change, and let's say it was a Kia's status to sold. And you could add a reminder. Maybe you were going to say, call the customer back at 3. You could add a reminder and tag a staff. But in this case, we just want that to be known for whoever on our team is checking. That would have a pretty good feeling, right? That if I'm the other team player, go, yeah, Jeremy did what he said. So that's a helpful tool. Now let's end it here. That was the 7. I hope that's helpful. If I'll give you a few links here at the end of how you can access this webinar, but also go through. We have some how-to videos that capture this much quicker than 15 minutes. But it's good to kind of see it collectively, the options that the platform gives you to make sure that you're not annoying them with automation. Now here's the part to me that again is that Amazon way, right? It's the Costco way, the Starbucks way of. And this is going to drive a lot of people crazy. I don't want to do coupons or deals. That doesn't make sense for me. And although that's true, and we say don't do it if you're giving profits away, I 100% agree. Having said that, consumers want what they want, right? And this is one of the ways to engage your customers to take those steps, to engage in your brand and start managing their profile. Amazon Prime or Netflix gave you a free month. Wow, that was value for Netflix. They had to offer the download speeds and make sure the videos are available for 30 days to you, or even at the time it was mailing you DVDs. So businesses understand that this objective that the consumer has doesn't mean that they need it long term, so to speak. It might just be for them to take an action they otherwise would never take. So that's how we view this, is having that enticement. And again, don't just give profits away. What we advise is creating a retail pricing. And if you ever just want to get a training with me directly, we can help you walk through that, where you'd set up a retail price that is actually higher than your other pricing, and that makes sure that you're affording the cost of offering member style promotions or discounts. Think the Target Red Card 5% back. How did they do that? Well, from our analysis of that is that everyone that goes into Target just pays the higher 5% retail price, and they built that into their cost of goods sold. We can do the same thing. So and just a small example, like what's a cool way we could do that? This is one of my favorites. It's have a really well-designed new customer rack card where you're welcoming at check-in. So this is part of that. Remember back to tip 1, or the first way of how to not annoy, you let them know up front. So this would help with that, because if you can get them to do this at check-in before they even check out, they're going to have a great experience digitally with your brand today, as well as with your top-notch service and getting their vehicle back on time. So it's kind of collectively putting it all in one, where maybe they got a small enticement, Maybe they started managing, they got into your ecosystem, they created a subscriber account. This is a great way to go to minimize annoyance at later stages of automation. So I do hope that's helpful. Before we get into questions and answers, I do want you to know that you can always text us, a quick text here, or send us an email. We also have the support page where you can create a ticket. And on the training page, you can find our upcoming webinar schedule. You can book a training time. There's a lot of resources there. If you're not familiar with those pages, I will make sure you're seeing the training center. You've got a few options here, the how-to video library, request support. You can kind of walk through some of those member ideas that's in our latest version 7.4. So you got a few options here. Or on the support page, again, just a quick reminder, you just go to this URL, appfuel.com/support, and there's some nice ticket options. These are kind of the normal things we get requested, and this will help you walk through those and get that done. And at this time, I'm going to end the recording, but I'm going to stay on for those that want to stay and ask questions.